and keep your guns high. It's a war zone, it's a war zone, and I'll be fighting for my life, so keep your guns high. It's a war zone, it's a war zone, and I'll be fighting. Tear us apart and bury me, all in my head alone. Calling your name but only feel the cold. I sense the change in energy. All of my fuses blow. The fire burns inside, building a bonfire.
Welcome to Deload Shenanigans episode 2, 3. I think technically this is 3, but I can't remember if I'm planning to use episode 2. So funny story, I learned how to do drywall, right? I had learned how to kind of fix, break down, and repair drywall. I also learned how easily it is to break, which is why I had to learn how to repair, fix, and break down drywall. Once upon a time, this was back in middle school, if I remember right, because I'd been on my dad immediately after. So we were at a buddy's house, and there was a bunch of us, right? And we were playing this game that we all absolutely loved it. We played cup pong, but we used soda, and we chugged a lot of soda. We all played a bunch of rounds, and so all of us were so sick of soda, and some of us were we almost couldn't take any more sips, so we were really trying to win. And part of the punishment was, if you lost, you had to FaceTime a girl of the winner's choice, right? The winners would get to choose who you FaceTime. And there's this one girl in particular who I had a crush on, but no one else knew about that. And so I had to keep that discreet, right? I didn't want anybody knowing. Well, there's 2 rooms, right? There's kind of the main basement room, and then right next to it, if you go down this hallway, there's another kind of it's not a secret room, but it's kind of this back room, where kind of a couple other TVs are, and where most of the gaming consoles are. And so a couple people, right, my team lost, and someone was planning on giving me the girl that I had this crush on, right, to FaceTime. And so I was excited. But then 3 of them went off into the other room, and so I heard someone make a comment about someone else FaceTiming her. And so I was like, oh shit, no. And so there was a table on the way, right? There was the table where we were playing soda pong on, and it was in the middle of the floor. And so I was so amped at soda, caffeine, I was really wild. And so I got up and took off sprinting. Let me make sure we're good on time. Here we go. So I got up and I took off sprinting down this hallway. And so in order to avoid the table, I tried to do some karaoke, right? Some football karaoke warm-ups. And let's just say I wasn't very coordinated back then. And so when I crossed under here and went to cross here, right, you can kind of see where my feet's at. The front foot got caught. Well, I start stumbling. And in order to save myself from falling, I decided it'd be a good idea to try and slide to catch myself, and then catch myself against the wall. I figured it'd be kind of a funny scene. I'd go sliding down the hall, right, while I'm catching myself, and then bounce off the wall, hit the ground, right? I thought it'd be a funny movie. No. I took off sliding. And the moment I start sliding, right, the wall's getting closer, closer, closer. So I'm sliding. Just when I'm expecting to hit the wall and bounce off, I keep sliding. And I go through this wall. I was in shock for about 10 minutes. So was everyone there. No one thought, no one wanted to see it. I'm there's no way I just did that. And so I finally pulled myself out of the wall just to turn it, and there's this big mark in it. That's how I found out how how fragile drywall is. Here's a picture of it, because I think I have one. Here's a picture of it. And right, keep in mind, I am in middle school, so I'm not as big. I wasn't as big as I am now, right? If I did that now, right, the house would tip over. No, just kidding. But back then I was, I don't know, and I think it was like 7th, 8th grade, maybe 6th. Right? If it wasn't 8th, I wasn't quite 200 yet. But I was still heavy enough and big enough that that wall took some damage. And so, yeah. So me and my host, we're sitting there staring at this light. We both know we're dead, right? Everyone else is just sitting there laughing their asses off. I can't laugh because I'm so like embarrassed, so mad at myself that I did this. And yeah, so I finally call my dad and explain this to him. And he doesn't really say much. He just goes, okay. And like my dad's very chill. He's not gonna yell much. He's not gonna scream. But when he goes silent like this, you know you messed up. And so I also immediately after went up and told my buddy's dad what happened. And he was more chill about it. My dad, he's like, it's all good, right? Things happen. And then my dad comes over, takes a look at the wall. Fortunately, we had leftover drywall from a project we were doing in our old house. Like folks, we had to replace the walls, and we just fortunately had some leftover drywall, or else we would have had to, go shopping, and that wouldn't have been a cheap fix. So that was fortunate. My dad and my buddy's dad were way more chill than I expected and deserved. Right? They were very chill. They showed us both how to fix drywall, and so yeah, that's how I learned how to do drywall back in middle school. I can't say that I remember everything, but it was funny when we were measuring this drywall, like how much we would need and kind of how to like cut off the wall. There were some measurements, like we had to find kind of where the baseboard was along the baseboard. So basically in the hole, you can't see it, but on the very subtle edges of where this hole's at was a baseboard on every side. I narrowly missed all of these baseboards, and had I slid into that, right, this shoulder would have just been like I wouldn't have a shoulder had I done that. So I was very lucky in 2 ways, right? And well, I guess 3, because they were both chill. They just had us fix it, right? They definitely made fun of me the whole time, which was deserved. We've taken enough rest time. We're gonna load up. We have next week we start 3x5. And so that means this week we do a 2x5 light. I'll probably just start with 315 to start, just to see how I feel, make sure I'm still loose, warm. So yeah, there's a funny story number 3 or 2, depending on if I use this Tuesday's video, and let's chalk it up and get the shit rolling.
So how do we end up here? Could've sworn we said forever. Hopelessly I keep on losing myself. With the flames getting higher, all of the problems that I couldn't help. Oh, I'm building a bonfire. Hopelessly I keep on losing myself. With the flames getting higher.
Here's how I know I'm doing the proper deload. After each workout, I typically leave feeling better than I came in. And as the week goes on, I notice I get a lot more jittery and kind of antsy to do things. Right, like I'll wake up more rested because there's less fatigue overall throughout the week. It's almost like the inverse, right? If you think of this like gym bro math. Don't think of this like school math, gym bro math, right? Gym bro math, which the reverse of how you would feel in a normal training week, right? Because as the training week goes on, especially to start a program, you'll start off less fatigued, build up, right? The fatigue builds up. That might cut a little bit, or think of it like a mountain. Goes up and goes down, not all the way back down, then goes up, then down, not all the way back down, kind of like that. That's how fatigue works. With a deload week, that fatigue does the opposite. And by the end of it, I have so much energy that I'm like bouncing off walls. It's like giving a little kid coffee. I'm like, so yeah, that's how I know I'm doing a deload week properly, is if my energy goes like that and kind of ends. I end off the week like shaking, right? If you've ever seen Beavis and Butthead, right? I'm like Butthead, right? I'm like, yeah, fire, right? That kind of shit. So yeah, that's kind of how I know I'm doing a deload week, right? Is when I basically turn into Butthead after he's got like amped up on sugar, right? I am corn audio. So yeah, that's gonna end it for today's video, right? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was Deload Shenanigans episode 3. So now, basically, I just screw around and kind of do stuff that, will make me feel a little bit better by the end of the workout. Plus, it helps me prep for how I want to do the next training block. So, yeah. Well, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys in another video. Boogeyman out.